Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Nothing But the Truth. My name
Yeah.
is Nakalias Konakali, and today in the studio, of course, as always in the studio, I'm joined by the spectacular.
Hi, everyone. It's PJ. Thank you for joining us on today's edition of Nothing But the Truth.
Welcome, welcome. On this show, we give you the truth, the whole truth, and
Nothing but the
the truth on
truth.
our honor. And on today's episode, we are super delighted because what we are looking into, what we are diving into today, is something that is quite controversial. It's
Quite
something that has been
sensitive
making
too.
rounds, and we just need to jump on it for the sake of the sanity of the body of Christ,
Yes,
right? And just bring
very
some
needed.
perspectives that we believe would help in unearthing this situation, even as it unfolds in the coming day, because it's a current
Yes.
happening.
And we're going
right?
to follow it through as well and
Yes,
also give
yes,
update into
definitely.
the whole
Definitely.
conversation.
So you must have seen the thumbnail, and it is written the Eezee concept or the Eezee Saga,
Saga.
who is right and who is wrong. So we are here to shed light and bring our perspective to this trending topic. But before we do that, I want you to share this broadcast, invite as many people that you can,
Yes.
put it on
Share
all
the
your social media
link.
platforms, share the links, and ensure that we have as many people as possible join this live broadcast, because we are live, and that's the best part. We are streaming live from Ambience TV studio.
Yes.
We know what that means. It means that you can share your thoughts, share your opinions live, and we'll get to interact with them. And we can't wait to have your thoughts even on this show. So
We can't wait
I hand it
indeed.
over to you, PJ.
Yes. About sharing your thoughts, if you would like to be a part of the conversation, a number will be displayed. You can send in a message
Yes.
to that number and we would get to read it out in the
Yes.
course of the conversation.
And also on YouTube, you can drop a comment. We'll do well to, of course, reference your
Yes.
comments. We are looking at them. We can't wait to get back to you. So straight ahead, let's get into it. PJ, this matter,
Deep breath.
it calls for a lot of thinking and a lot of self-reflection.
Yes.
This matter is one that is concerning, to say the least, but beyond concerning. It's a serious matter,
Very serious.
because it involves number one, individuals that are known as public figures, not just public figures, but well-respected individuals within
In
the body of Christ.
True.
And then there seems to be some accusations and some expectations that are not met, and some form of back and forth between them, and it centers around money, finance and money, and we know
Just
how
brings up a lot of questions.
exactly it's quite dicey. So I would attempt to give us a background into what's going on, right?
Yeah.
So that we can have some level of idea. So you can recall that toward around from 2020 to 2022, popular gospel artist Mercy Chinwo, who was signed under Eezee Concept, which is headed and run, all I say now, who the leader, of course, and the owner of that
The
record
founder.
label is Eezee, right? And then there's been some back and forth and discrepancies, especially as it concerns, remissions, money, and then royalties being paid, and some
Misappropriation.
contract. There was a whole lot of allegations. Rumors were flying here and there. Eventually, Ms. Chinwo left the record label, right? And it became clear that there was an issue, there was a rift, right? And sometime in 2024, Judy K, also, who was also at the time signed under the record label, also had certain issues with the record label, which led to her exiting the record label. Now, this is 2025, and this matter has not died down.
In fact, it seems to
It
many
looks
things
as
are
though,
many things are
yes,
still coming up.
a lot of things, they are unearthing a lot of things. We are hearing from both sides, and in fact, what we are attempting to do on this show today is to bring perspectives. Like I said, it's a
Yes.
case that is unfolding. We don't know who is right. We don't know who is wrong. In case you think that we are here to side anybody,
No
But
conclusions
what,
here.
what we are here to do, PJ, is to literally bring out the possibilities, right?
Yes.
To bring out the perspective and talking points. So, PJ, what were your first thoughts when you began to hear about
Okay,
this?
so when I began to hear about this, taking the backdrop from when Mercy Chinwo had to leave the record
Yes.
label, and many rumors went out, like you said, many allegations that were not exactly confirmed.
Yes.
Till now, that we're still hearing so many things come up, and it's about money. Now, before the show started, we had conversations about this, and we're
Yes.
talking about how, number one, there are many sides to being under a label. There's the legal part where you have contracts being signed and every other things too. I feel if you go into business with somebody, there must be a sort of understanding that you both have. There must be, there should be so many things that align that will make you sign a contract with that person. Right? Let's not even take it to that end. There must be a sort of personal relationship and trust that you have in that person. So we know the fallout happened and there would definitely have been, legal part of it that would have been brought to light. So we see how that from then till now, it didn't end with Mercy Chinwo. There's now Judy K in the mix as well. So we're asking questions around.
To also buttress that, sorry, now not just even Judy K. Some while back, Dr. Roy, who worked on, I think he was the producer that worked on Excess Love and a couple of other songs that were some of the major songs that announced Mercy Chinwo. We saw him jump on a podcast and shared some not very pleasant things about
his experience working there and his time there.
So there seems to be a track record.
There seems to be a track record. Yeah, and so there's always an element of truth on both sides.
Yes.
There's always an element of, who is wrong, who is right, and the sides that the legal contract will have to tell us that some of these things are still what we'll reference in this conversation as well. So I'm just, I was just really wondering that, is there a possibility that all the things said against Eezee T are all true? Because there are allegations till now, they're still allegations. Because when you have 1, 2, 3 persons coming out to, not just point fingers at someone now, but to outrightly say, this person did me dirty.
Yes.
We really want to zoom in on that particular conversation and ask the right questions.
So, just to keep us in up to date with what's been happening, Eezee T had just recently, I think just this morning, 5 hours ago on his Instagram page, he put out a response. Now, let me say this. I think this was some days back. A popular father in the body, Apostle Anselm Madubuko, had put out a press release about this matter because he was one of the major people spearheading the alleged mediation panel that was set up in order to settle this thing amicably, because of course we are going to get to that. There's the part of people saying stuff like this should not be public, we should find ways to deal with these things amicably, we are brethren. In fact, scripture says if you have aught against, exactly, let's not take it to court and all that. Well, before we get there, I want to know your thoughts on that. But so Apostle Anselm had put out a press release and claimed or alleged that there had been efforts to mitigate or to mediate between them, and on many times the record label Eezee Concept and Eezee T had failed to provide certain documents that were needed for the independent audits that ought to have happened. Now, whether or not that's true, I can't tell, but those were the things that were contained in the press release. And just this morning, Eezee Concept rebutted. He put out a rebuttal post on his Instagram, and he claimed. Now, this is where we are going to. My first question is, what are Mercy Chinwo's claims? What is she fighting for?
Yes.
Of course, she claims that there is an outstanding if I'm not mistaken, about $620,000 dollars that. Okay, no, Eezee Concept claims that he has paid over the years about $620,000 to her, and she claims that there's still some outstanding that when converted to naira amounts to about 500 million naira that ought to be paid in royalties and all of those things. So this is the argument. The first body of knowledge, because the first body of thought claims that, number one, the contract that was signed on a 50-50 basis. So the agreement that was signed, and I'm saying this allegedly, right? Alleged. Like I said, I'm not I'm not giving figures that I can vouch for per se, but allegedly and based on what we see online and in the blogs and the reported speeches. So the contract was said to be 50-50. The dividend of any of those body of works that we're going to put out was going to be 50-50. In other words, the royalties ought to be shared on a 50-50 basis. Whatever money is coming in, that is coming in through this artist, the artist gets 50%, the record label keeps 50%. Now, if you want to discuss
interesting
this,
from that point.
Yes. If you want to discuss this, the argument now goes deep because, first of all, you want to ask, the first argument is that the figures that Eezee Concepts published as their
What
annual
comes in.
earning, or let's say yes monthly, or let's say annual earning, right, upon which 50% was supposed to go to the artist and 50% to the what you call it now, the record label. There seem to be some discrepancies.
Something is not right somewhere.
There seem to be some discrepancies. Now, I'm not saying it is correct, but this is the alleged conversation that what you said was coming in is not what was coming in, because if you say it's $100 that is coming in, 50% is I'm taking 50. But if you say $100 came in, but
And
actually we now
200.
went and we discovered that it was $1,000 that came in. What you gave me, even if you gave me $50, what you gave of what came in is less than 5%.
Like, let me just hold you there and say something just to chip
please.
in
Yes,
as
please.
this conversation is going. See, as much as we sign contracts and we have agreements, something is also just as important.
Yeah.
We can make an agreement together, but it should not be made independent of one person knowing for the sake of transparency. See, yes, a man of God is kingdom faith-based. Let's make sure we put structures in place to preserve people and preserve ourselves.
True.
It should actually be so clear that, except there's now many other things involved in the organization beyond just the individuals of Eezee and then the other gospel artists that we're referencing, there must be a structure that makes it so transparent and clear that your integrity cannot be at stake.
Yes. And it goes without saying, right? When you have to sign off on anything that is contractual, please do so with a lawyer and a lawyer that knows what they're doing. Because you see, I was saying something earlier. I said a statement, an innocent statement written in a contract, can be read by a layman, and his interpretation of it is totally different from what a legal practitioner would bring out. They can bring out a whole paragraph from that one statement, because there is more than meets the eye when it comes to law. You have to read between the lines. So many times it is not really that these people defrauded them. It's just because in the days where they signed these things, they were ignorant. Some of them were desperate.
That was why I almost started by saying sometimes it's just based on trust. Now, my guy, let's sign this thing. Business.
Let it just be that this thing is illegal. Let's have it
reference.
Exactly.
So I put in contracts is just for reference. Did you sign a contract to say yes? But did you read?
Getting into the nitty-gritties of what it's saying, getting someone to interpret what there is law. There are the statutory, law as a statute, right? But there are the interpretation of those statutes. There are people that have been equipped to be able to interpret it. Please, if you ever find yourself in a situation where you have to sign a contract, don't allow excitement. You're seeing some figures, right? But on the flip side, right? Let's look at this from an Eezee's angle.
Okay.
Now let's look at this, guys, because we are trying to be as objective as possible and look at all the possible angles to these things. If you're an Eezee, you are a producer. You see an artist. In fact, Eezee is someone, from the little I've gathered about him, even before this whole saga, because I've had to look into his life. One of his visions for setting up the record label was to be able to bring out gospel artists. He said he saw a lot of talent wasting in church without platforms and opportunities to be able to show to the world what they had.
And that was a burden.
That was a burden that he started with, and then he set up the record label. In fact, in order to make it substantial, in order to make it standard, when he was signing Ms. Chinwo, the car he gave, apparently, I found out from a reliable source, right? I cannot give credibility to, but I found out from a reliable source that it was actually a personal car. It was his personal car. But in order for the signing to be legitimate and to hold water just the way they do in the world, he had to ensure that his artist was comfortable. Space. He had to get a 2-bedroom apartment for her. Even
just the perks that an artist would get if they're under a label.
Exactly. So the fact that it was kingdom, he said, regardless of the fact that it was kingdom, these people should still have this level of comfort that a secular artist would have gotten if he was signed to a secular label. And he went all the while. If you know anything about becoming successful, even in the music industry, even in the gospel music setup, whatever you want to call it, industry or the setting, you will know that it is not just by singing. There are a lot of people singing. Because there's now the argument.
Need a platform to give voice to what you're doing.
There's now the argument. Now people are saying, oh, all these record labels, they are bad, they are this. Let me quickly bring a balance to it. whilst there might be discrepancies, whilst there might be foul play, which we don't know, and it is
until proven true.
Until proven true, we cannot say to it, right? While that is a possibility, it doesn't change the fact that a lot of record labels have done good. In fact, I can say this on all authority, regardless of the anointing and the exposure of someone like the anointing and the grace upon a Mercy Chinwo, if not for the platform that Eezee had given. I can say it on all authority. Someone might say, "Oh, God would have promoted it." There are many anointed people that we are not hearing their voice. There are many anointed people in different churches that you are not hearing their voice. I'm saying that the platform that was afforded Mercy Chinwo and the other artists, Judy K, GUC, by a platform like Eezee would not have come to them if they were alone. A lot of people left to themselves cannot attain the success that they ought to attain. Because you see, when you consider it from that standpoint, the record label pays them
for all the things that artists will be saying they're raising funds for.
Exactly.
People say they want to
produce the songs for them.
Yeah.
Do the music videos for them. Gives them monthly salary, accommodation, car. Now, at that starting stage, it was big. But when God now blessed the ministry, and it's now, the numbers are now in millions and tens of thousands of dollars and hundreds of thousands of dollars, it now looks as though, this person is greedy.
True.
This is one angle to look at it from. Could it be that it is not necessarily like this person was greedy? This person actually paid his dues. This person paid the price. And the success that has come now, we are now gaslighting. We are trying to gaslight him.
So let me just say a few things on that note. Yes, the record label gives you a platform, helps you amplify what it is that you are doing.
Yeah.
I totally understand that. And again, on the flip side, what some artists fail to recognize is that your investment in what you are doing as well would also be needed. And I know that's the part of intellectual property and all of those things. True. Now, because you mentioned and you were saying, okay, let's really analyze what exactly is Mercy Chinwo, what's her plea, what does she really want? And then on Eezee's POV as well, Mercy Chinwo was allegedly, or is allegedly, wanting rights over a catalog that was funded. That's
what Eezee is alleging, that's what she wants.
You know, it's even funny how we don't have many references from someone like Mercy Chinwo, but you know, it is what it is. We're still gathering it all till it finally comes together. But what I'm really after is, yes, the platform is there by the record label. What about the artist too that is also putting in the work? Let's not forget that part.
Let me say this, PG. We are saying all of these things because it's church, or it's body of Christ. In the secular space, that's why there's a contract. Let me say this. If it is true, and I'm saying this on all authority, if it is true that what Mercy Chinwo is asking for is rights over her catalog, then she's wrong. And I can say this on all authority. Because
what if she wants to buy it back?
Except the person wants to put it up for sale. This is it. When you sign a contract to be signed under a record label, anything you produce, let's say you're an artist, any song you sing, is the environment to be able to sing that song and bring the song to the quality and to the standard that it is afforded you on the strength of the platform you have in that record label. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
So it therefore means that anything you produce, because you signed, you are assented to it, anything you produce is not your intellectual property. It is the intellectual property of the record label.
Don't contracts get reviewed?
So now this is the thing, right? If it is record label assigned to, check it. If let's reference a few secular guys, right? Labels. Look at a record label like Maven's, headed by Don Jazzy. Of course, I think it's been bought now or something like that. But they have people like Rema under them, Ira Star. All of this, they are secular musicians, right? They are signed under that record label. Anything they release whilst under that contract is under Maven's record, and nobody is fighting it. Now, if Mercy Chinwo's plea and Judy K's plea is that there was mismanagement of funds and they want it to be reviewed, Good and fine. Let there be an audit. Bring out the papers. How much do you say come in? Let's go to the YouTube earnings. YouTube, bring out your statement of account. Let's see what came in. Let an independent auditing firm come and check. Okay, this is what you said came in. This is what you sent. What is the disparity? Once you do the calculation, okay, we now notice that there was a disparity of $50,000. Let an apology be issued and let the money be paid. Let all men go free. But if it is that having seen that, oh, these songs have now blown, now you are now coming back, it is, I would want to assent to Eezee Concept say something, it will be like biting the hand that fed you.
Let me say something. You know, I started this matter on the note of trust.
Yes.
If you can trust somebody, you can be bitter at them. You can get offended. You can. The fallout that happened was not, it didn't just happen. It's not just money. Yeah. I'm saying, I haven't discovered that, oh, I was being cheated and I signed a contract that was to my disfavor. Yeah. I can see now, she's human. Yeah. I can, in that same, breath of anger and being, betrayed, come out to say, can we actually, if it's going to be okay, it was a legal conversation, legal agreement. Let me go through that legal route too and get what I put my sweat, tears and blood into producing and want it back. I'm not saying that she has a right over it.
It's not like, I hope it's not, because I don't want it to be as though I'm maybe siding one party. We are just being objective.
Well, but I'm not siding any
let me say this logically, right? Logically speaking, this is it. This is it. It's not like they signed her off. Like, okay, whilst she was doing all of those things, producing the songs and all of that, she had no access to any of these things. That's not the case here. The case here is that
she knows that it's not.
Yes, it was clearly
under
stated.
Her name.
She was not blindfolded to sign it. Even though she might not have the interpretation, it must have been clear that this thing is a 50-50 basis. What's a 50-50 basis? Any royalty that comes in, any money that we make from any of these intellectual properties that you produce in partnership with us, 50% comes to you, 50% comes to the company. But who has rights over these things? It's the company. Because the company is the one that produces it. The company is the one that brands it. The company is the one that distributes it. The big bucks you are earning it because the company afforded you the opportunity to do so.
All right. We accept, we agree, we understand. That's the structure that a label gives, and we totally understand it. There are just so many sides to it, and we want to explore it all.
True. Again, my bane, sorry for cutting. My bane would be if there is financial misappropriation, and I feel, if I'm going to be very honest, from the things I have heard and seen, a document was, I have a document here that I would like to reference, and we can just put that up. The document that shows the yearly.
Yes, we have that reference.
Let me just bring it out.
We don't know if it can
quick.
also be popped up.
It should be popped up on the screen. Yeah, and this is from an independent auditing firm called Pearson, right? And this was their analysis.
And this is about
that's case, it on the screen right now.
Yeah,
that's it on the screen right now. Now, this is what it says. Now, let's do a little analysis of this. This is what, because of course, like I said, Judy K also came out to also, lay claims to certain pending money that should be paid to her. Now, look at it. In the year 2019, Eezee Concept declared that they received $12,836.99 from YouTube, whereas YouTube's data says they received, what they actually paid was $12,836.98, right? So the variance is just like 0.01.
Yeah.
Right? So in 2020, the Eezee Concept alleged to have received $36,682.74, whereas YouTube claimed to have paid $36,675.93, and the difference is just about 6.81. In 2021, the figures is 96 from Eezee Concepts and record 96,680.22, whereas YouTube is 105. Now you see that there's disparity.
Yeah, there are.
I don't know if this is the figure after being taxed, because if one thing I know about YouTube monetization is that they tax you, right? So I don't know if the tax has anything to do with this, but let's just see. This was the analysis that Pearson Consulting Limited brought out out, right? In 2022, the Eezee concept allegedly or claimed to have received 94,177.75 thousand. Well, that's big bucks.
That's a lot of money.
A lot of money, right? And then YouTube claimed to have paid 107, which was $12,000 difference, 12,822 difference, right? And then 2023, the difference was about $4,000, which when accrued, the total money that Eezee concept is owing or is due to pay Judicate within 2019 to 2023 is 26,601.47. Now, if this document happens to have any validity and credibility and is true, this is the way to sort a matter like this out. This is the way to sort a matter like this out. It is clear. Okay,
you bring out all the books.
These are the books. It shows here that this is what you received and this is what you claim to have received. Why is there disparity? Let him explain.
Make it make sense.
Okay, probably what do you call it, tax, probably this, we factored this into it. If it makes sense and it is legally coherent, it can be overlooked and said, okay, this is the total amount that you ought to pay. Let the person pay and let everybody go their jolly way. You get what I'm saying?
See, Nakali, that is not as easy as you say it. Because when money is involved,
that's it.
Money reveals. Money is a revealer.
Now, this will lead now to the question. I've seen a lot of school of thought on this in the comment section, and thank you guys. We're seeing your comments.
We're going to take them shortly.
Big shout out to you, Ami, Deborah, Joshua, Oluwayemi C, Preshkis, Henry, Kalmani, Adekonye, Toyope. Big shout out to you guys. Henry, Toyosi, Samuel, I see you. Please keep the comments rolling in. We can see, and we truly, truly celebrate you. Now, I want to get into the next aspect of this conversation, which is, people gaslighting a Mesichiwo or a Judike for requesting, for fighting for their money. And the
they should let the Lord fight for them.
The gaslighting is coming with the accusation that, are you not a child of God? Should the money matter?
Or what do you need the money for?
What do you need the money for? Are you not out to bless souls?
My people.
Are you not out to bless souls? Why is the money a factor? Why does it matter to you? PJ, just say something on that.
We have many thoughts on that one because again, it was a business agreement.
Yes.
I mean, it should even make sense that I'm going into business with my brother in Christ, my sister in the faith, right? But then if there happens to be something that there's a foul play somewhere, and we're looking into this, we're taking it to court, then we should just let justice prevail.
Yes.
I was going to say when we're looking at that analysis and the agency that did that audit. At the end of the day, you want to ask yourself a question that when all these things were, piling up to you, we got to 26,000.
Yes.
What?
In Naira, that's about some. That's some cool
that's
money.
That's a lot of money.
That's some cool money, man.
I want to ask a question. What is going on in the mind of the person who is probably doctrine and, making adjustments
to the figures?
What is going on in that person's mind? Because now you don't want the artist to actually come out to openly, claim what they believe is theirs.
Yes.
That's just that's being unfair. It's really being unfair because again, they had a contract and it was not kept to. It means that there must be justice that must make sure that they get what is theirs by that contract.
Yes.
Because again, let's not forget that it was said that what they were receiving was not even totally put on the table. There wasn't transparency in that aspect. So let them get their money. They're the ones that know what they want to use their money for.
In fact,
they want to do charity with it.
The Bible puts it this way. It says every laborer is deserving of his wages. Right? In other words,
they labored.
If this person labors, this is work. If you ask a message, what do you do? She can't say I'm a data analyst.
She's a gospel artist. That's her work. Artist.
And she has family. She has mouths to feed. She has her bills to pay. And she's not. And if it's the same you that said that those people with the school of thought that they should not be going back and forth. I also agree that of course I wish we didn't have to have all of this. But if it has come, it is not wrong to fight for what is yours because you labored for it, right? You had labored for these things and you had put in the work, and it is expected that these things should produce, right?
It should produce.
It should produce. And in a case where there seems to be discrepancies and it looks as though your money or what is right, in fact, Jesus puts it this way. Jesus said, give unto Caesar what is Caesar's, right? However, I wish it didn't have to get to this point where, you're dragging back and forth, and it's the body of Christ. We're on the news. I also cringe at it, but you see, it is what it is. If it's happening, people should be able to stand. In fact, many times, silence or, when we try to cover up things is the reason why a lot of people do not get justice.
Yeah.
It's the reason why people get bullied. Because the person with the loudest or with the appeal of the people, for example, it is, and some of you watching, it is very easy for you to probably unconsciously tilt toward a message. And I'll explain why.
Because she's our
beloved. She's our beloved. This is a message.
She has blessed us with her sound.
Maybe she came, you were sick, and you listened to her song, you were healed. She's a minstrel. She has blessed you. So naturally, you might have the proclivity to be positively tilted toward her. But you see, you might not be right at the end of the day if you finish your investigations.
Yeah.
And you now see that, okay, this person was not as strong. Because if you really, really examine this thing, two sides have labored. Mm-hmm. Do you know the work that goes into making an artist, world class, and not just one, doing it over and over again? Like, while I believe that there are certain things that are a bit overstretched, that I feel like there are certain inconsistencies, you cannot take away the fact that the platform Eezee Concept is one of the major blessings that has happened to the gospel music scene in Nigeria. And of course, if you're talking Nigeria, you're talking the whole world.
Yeah, very
talking
true.
The whole world. So for me, it is really baffling. I at this point, I want us to read a few comments that are really, really exciting.
Let's go into the comments.
Toyin Ayinla says their talent got them the money. They have every right to fight for it. And I agree. Of course, while God blesses, it's the same thing. Just the same way you minister or you do something and God can lay it to your heart to say so into the person. It's the same way there's now a system that doesn't you don't have to be trusting God. Can be more predictable. Right?
On that note, where we're talking about them leaving the money and letting God fight for them or not, let's not forget that GUC left the label, and then he left on a note where he didn't want
no issue.
Yes, it just seemed as though
externally, because we don't know what's going on.
We don't know
behind
what
the
happened
hair.
inside.
Before next year, now you come
right. We don't even know if anything can still happen, as the case may be.
But we are praying that all things are fine.
We're really praying. Our prayers and love goes out to all parties involved. Just really desiring that there's amicable. And then all this is sorted. Let me take this comment from official IBK. It says, as regards this topic, I want to say most record label actually mean well, and this is business, which the aim is to make profit. We already discussed that this is a business part. He also went ahead to say they labored and helped the singer. Why do singers now want to call them out after they are now making profit, but refuse to talk about what the record label did or has been doing to fix the bills and all that?
True.
Something that we also mentioned as well, because there are always two sides. I always say that there are always two sides. We also have a reference from the papers where Eezee made some claims to so many things that he had done. You want to ask yourself that why is he recounting the good? Sometimes it's important to bring it all out on the table so that one person does not really seem like the villain in the whole story.
There was a video we saw this morning that Eezee posted, which was sort of like a what was the best way to put it? It was a meeting literally that had Judy K and her husband.
So they have that meeting annually, but they recorded that one last year.
And that one was recorded just in March last year, and he was seen asking expressly, are there things that you have concerns about? Are there issues that you feel like maybe some discrepancies here and there that you might have issues with, maybe financial, maybe demonic, maybe ethic wise? You wanted them to express, and you could see it was clear. In fact, and this recording was not done incognito, it was done with their consent. They were aware that it was being recorded, right? And then you could see Judy K saying, oh, all is well, I have no issue. And then Eezee had to post that today in his defense to say that, okay, if really you claim that all these things, at this point we had this meeting and I asked you, do you have a grievance so that I can apologize and all of these things? So this is another angle to look at it. And I want to plead with the body of Christ. Let's not be quick to jump on his side. We are all children of God. Eezee is a child of God. Judy K is a child of God. Meschiwo is a child of God. Juicy, everybody, we are all children of God. So if you want to analyze a situation like this, be objective. Look at the possible, and that's what we're trying to do here. Look at the possibilities around this case, right? And then objectively give your take
thought.
or your perspective. Don't just rush to take sides.
You know, about that video, I can't get over that video because I had many questions. And I was just wondering.
Yeah.
I really, I mean, if analysts, psychologists look at that video,
yes.
maybe you will say Ejudice was under pressure to just, accept that there was nothing wrong and she was fine with everything going on in the label. Because I believe if anything is springing up now, it has been a build up.
Yes.
Right? And this was last year, March 2024. You were asked in a meeting, are there any issues? Are there any things you feel are not right? Have you been mistreated or whatever it is you have as reservation? Can you share?
Yes.
And you go ahead to say none. And last year, before this, we came into 2025, we're hearing things, you're calling him out. I'm asking, what's going on? Just bringing so many.
Could it be that at the time, they were still oblivious to certain discrepancies, or they were just, benefit of doubt, in the sense that at the time of that video being recorded, Ms. Chinwo had left the label already, right? And all the whole issue had already started. But I think that's probably what spurred. Because if you want to look at it from another angle, you could want to say that is it possible that maybe it was talks that began to fly around that spurred that conversation. That, okay, maybe this person knew that, this is coming. It looks like there's an impending issue about to arise, and then he had to start asking that question. And then they began, she said there was no issue. But I will just say, and let me just put this on record, right? I feel like it is still too early to make conclusions.
We're not making conclusions here.
Yes, because some people have taken their sides.
Let me read comments. Right? We're not making conclusions, though.
Okay. I think Henry Kalmani says, I feel they could have settled it within, instead of dragging it on social media. And I feel the artists had to use social media because they have their followership. And let's not forget the label made.
The label made them. I'm still of that. I'm still in that school of thought that yes, the label gave the platform, but to be honest,
God is the one that made them.
It's true. Wait, you say it that way. I'm making me sound somehow. You're making me sound spooky or something.
But
I would just really say that at the end of the day, you want to see there are people who have been in record labels and then they didn't match the energy of the label and left. Should I call names?
Let's leave that for the audience.
There was a certain artist that was in a label in Nigeria, left, went to be signed under an international artist, still left, and today did not still blow.
My God.
I mean, at the end of the day, the energies must match. You must be as hardworking as the structure the label is giving you.
True.
So I really feel there are people who eventually got labels when they had blown and they needed it for managerial purposes.
Yes.
There's still that place of acknowledging that they labored.
Yes. So, and this is where we must put faith before every other thing. And this is my plea. I believe that this might get to both parties eventually. If eventually
we're sending out our love to them.
Get to them. We're sending love and light, and we are wishing for the best. But I would like to say that at points like that, junctures like this, our faith must take center stage. It must be priority. Right? And what are the teachings around our faith? See, money is powerful.
Hey,
let me say this.
Money is a revealer.
Do you know? And I'm not saying that the devil has hijacked their spirit, but I'm saying that this is the power of money. This is how much money can bring division even amongst believers. Right? Because when Jesus was talking about money, there's only one thing that Jesus tried to do a comparison between God. He said you can't serve God and mammon.
Even Jesus sabi say
God and the devil. The only thing he said you cannot, he juxtaposed between the two was Jesus, God and mammon. Because money can bring you to a point where once it becomes the goal and the objective, you can no longer, as Jesus said, turn the other cheek. So while I also agree that everybody should fight for what is rightfully theirs, I also like this person said, Henry said that I feel they should have handled it within. Now let me just say to their defense that they actually tried. There's been, I think, about 3 meetings. So if I'm not mistaken, about 3 meetings have been held to mediate, right? And with top people, fathers in the body and mothers in the body as part of that panel to mediate and sort out this issue, but somehow headway has not seemed to have been made, right? And truthfully, like I said earlier, we have the tendencies to tilt toward one of these party because of obvious reasons, right? The followership
And one person
and
now
all
look
of these
like
things.
the
Exactly,
devil.
one person, and it's a perfect victim story. It could be that it is true, but let's also not forget that it could be that it's not a complete truth.
And some things have been stretched.
Sometimes it could be that the record label is the victim.
Could be.
It could be that it is just a case of having labored, the time for you to reap the fruit of your labor, and now say, why is your labor plenty like this? And they are now supplanting you. I mean, Laban did that to Jacob, right? So I'm just saying that these are the possible angles to this.
Another angle could also be that at the end of the day, when we make agreements and brother and sister in the faith come together to sign contracts, they didn't do due diligence.
Yes, true, I agree.
They didn't do due diligence, and then they were just caught up. Someone mentioned something, and I'm not even saying that's the case here, but I saw a comment earlier, and someone was like, some people are just eager to be signed. You know, I mean, in that reference that I wanted to make earlier, where Eezee was just recounting some things, he said, Messi Chinwo
pursued him with
yes,
that
allegedly had people come meet him to please sign her, and it was her back. She was his backup.
You know one funny thing? So while I was watching that video, the one we saw on Instagram that Eezee posted today, while I was watching that video, I went to the comment section, and in the comment section, someone was like, God, I've been tagging Eezee to all my videos, hoping that I'll get a record label, and someone is here mismanaging.
We're the ones who are doing analysis.
Someone that entered his DM, someone that entered his own comment. You know how you can reply a comment, and now said, if you like, this is the same desperation that makes people sign off on contracts without reading it, because you just want to have a platform, and you just I just want to blow, right? And so much truth in that. Many times when a person is at the lowest, you see, if you're a man that is at his lowest point too, he can do anything to become great. And I'm not saying that that's the case that with Judiki and Messi, but I'm saying that human proclivities they are true. These are some of the proclivities that we have as humans, that once we're at our lowest, all of these things don't matter. It's when we now go up, we now say, hey, let's even review what we said while we're there. No, it's, at that point it is too late. The deed has been done. So it is important that if you are going to sign off on anything, if you're going to come into an agreement, whether in the faith, outside the faith, just make sure that you have done due diligence. Due diligence, my brother, my sister. I mean, everybody's eye is tricking these days. Due diligence, right?
I'm also going to say at this point that at the end of the day, let's make sure, like you mentioned, being objective. Let's make sure that when we are looking into matters, we throw sentiments away, and ask the real questions. Is it possible that for a Mesichinwo and a Juduki now wanting to say this is my money, they won't claim to their money. Give me my money, they won't claim to their money now? What exactly is instigating it? Because you would assume, because I mentioned earlier that as many references that we have, we don't even have any from Mesichinwo. Except her saying some things in passing.
Yes, and then the court order. When she took him to court and all that.
Yes, we don't have that official statement, except there is none. I stand to be corrected. We like to reference that if there is, as we keep following the case, we like to make sure we are getting our facts right now in that regard. But then what is really instigating the whole give me my money? Because those who are on the school of thought, you are doing this to bless lives and to be a blessing, right? Then it shouldn't matter so much. Or should it not? Or should it? On the Judica's perspective as well, who last year said she had no claims or anything against the label, and now is coming out to say, this is the amount she's being owed and wants it. I mean, what exactly is bringing all of this? There are people who say, maybe their partners are the ones instigating them. There's that conversation. There are those in that WhatsApp group.
Let's
not go there. There are people who are saying, no, I'm just trying to touch on the questions.
Yes, I saw comments like that. People believe that their spouses are the ones instigating them.
There are people who would think that.
Just think a lot of things.
We don't have the answers. We're just also putting this out. Encouraging a conversation because this is what we do, right? Making sure that there are perspectives and sides that we just bring balance.
Surplus perspectives. And let me say this, PJ, even as we begin to bring this to a wrap, right? One thing that would want to make, when a person seems to have a track record on a matter, when 2, 3, 4, 5 people have the similar things to say about a person's character that questions the person's integrity, there might be need, it might be a point of suspicion. And I'll say why I said that.
There will be element of truth.
Yes, I'll say why I said that, because okay, if Mercy Chinwo, which was the first person that came out to say okay, some things are not adding up, comes out to say that, and then shortly after Ejudike comes out to say that, and not long in that whole season while that was happening, we saw a Dr. Roy that was the producer on
that guy
excess
cried,
laws. I mean, if you watch that video, it was so emotional. The excerpt that was put out before the main video, I had to go back to watch the entire thing, and it was really, really heartbreaking, because naturally a lot of people feel like the church and fairness, church has washed their hand come off for anything we concern fairness.
Just been given that tag of,
yes, like the church is one of the most cruel institutions that exist. So people hearing these things now, non-believers, even believers alike, hearing these things, feel like they are safer doing business outside church, doing business.
This is another topic for another episode of this conversation.
I honestly,
because you don't want to ask that. Is this why some people think, oh, the church has produced many people, and they say they started in church? Is this why some people didn't stay in church? You have that question. You have that question in your mind. Let's not lie. There's that part too, and then people are just saying, we can just go.
But if, in all fairness, this happens everywhere. There was the what's his name now? I don't know if it was late Mohbad, before he died. I don't know if he was the one that had issues with the record label, the Malian, the whole Naira Marley and all of that. There were also issues of
allegedly took his life,
of royalties also not being paid, of being mistreated, paid meager, although he was making a lot for the record label. We have all these things scattered across, even in the secular. So let's not just make it as though it's a Christian thing. Once it's business, there are a lot of factors that comes into it. Although we expect that as believers, we shouldn't. But you see, you can't take out the humanity in man.
You can't.
The best of a man is still a man, right? And that, while that is not an excuse for people to do all sorts and then to defraud people and then break hearts, we are just saying that let's not just make it look like a Christian thing alone. This thing happens a lot everywhere. While it's not an excuse for people to keep doing it, it doesn't change the fact that it happened.
It doesn't change the fact that it happened, though.
PJ, on final thoughts now, because we're already
final thoughts.
we're already wrapping
I'm trying
up.
to also prepare my mind for final thoughts, and one thing just keeps coming to mind, that for someone like Eezee, who we have from a reliable source that is a workaholic.
Yes,
he works and was able to build what is now Eezee concept. You want to, this is just to bosses out there, to leaders, to founders, to CEO, people who push beyond, against all odds, and make something, because we have to give him credit.
Yes,
he has
huge
built
credits, huge credits.
From where it was and to what it is today. Have sympathy. Right? Because that video of Dr. Roy cannot leave my mind, where he was crying and talking about the hours at which he had to work. And at the end of the day,
sleep by 5 a.m., wake up by 7 a.m., grind
walk
till 5 p.m. 5 a.m. That's my God.
There's that place of those who are startup founders understand that part. But then again, I just want to just appeal to leaders of organizations and all of that. Sympathy is important. As much as you're getting the work done, getting the result you need, be mindful about the people. Don't hurt people. Don't be unjust. Don't try to cheat people out of what is theirs. I know this, my final thought is not trying to make any claim or trying to point any finger again to even those who are also working in corporations and organizations as well. If you have to sign a contract, please ask questions. Right? If you're not getting your lawyer, ask all the things that you understand. Ask questions to be sure that you understand what you are getting involved in.
So for my final thoughts, I'll just say this. If it so happens that Eezee's claims are true, in the sense that he's claiming that what Ms. Chinwo is asking for are the rights of ownership over her catalog, like her portfolio and all that, I would say that that's an outright overstepping of the boundaries, because it was clearly signed, it was contractual. That would be wrong. If that really is the case, then I think I will take sides and I'll say that that's wrong.
Yeah.
But if that's not the case, and let's say really the case is just about mismanagement of funds, and then Eezee T is actually the one who is at fault here, then there should be audit. An independent audit should be done.
Make everything
What
clear.
belongs to Caesar should be given to Caesar. If an apology needs to be done, let it be done publicly and say, okay, yes, in fact, we observe that there was discrepancies. We apologize for our end. This is not what we stand for as an organization. We truly apologize. This is your money. Carry yourself and be going. Let everybody be fine.
Go.
And let me say this: recently on the circular scene, I think Ashake, the circular artist, as I just left his record label.
Yeah,
and
there's that too.
He was signed under what's his name? The name has slipped my mind now. Yes, YBNL. I think that was YBNL. Olamide. Yes, right. So he just left, and it was done amicably. At least as to the best of my knowledge, yes. I'm not seeing any guns are not flying, no nothing, because of course it must have been clearly stated. I'm saying that if you're doing anything contractual, let it be done to the latter. In fact, before you have an artist sign, provide a lawyer. No, don't even provide. Let the artist be empowered enough to have a lawyer come scrutinize, look into these things, analyze it, interpret
for their interests.
Yeah. Have meetings. Don't just be in a hurry to sign. Have meetings. Let it be interpreted. This is what it means. So 10 years from now, if this video has 2 billion views, what you'll be getting from it is just royalties. You don't have right over it. It's not your intellectual property as it stands. It is the intellectual property of the record label. So these are the things that must be clearly stated, so that we don't have issues here and there. People are complaining that, oh, this is not what we signed up for. This is not what I signed up for.
And your signature is there.
And God will help us. And
Amen.
We are sending love and light, right, to both Eezee T. These are trying times, to Ms. Chinwo, to GDK. It's a whole lot.
And everybody involved.
Honestly, it's a whole lot. While we wait for the truth to be unraveled, we want to explicitly state our love and our support for all parties involved, and we are hoping for the best of outcomes, and we are hoping that the love of Christ will prevail and we'll be able to settle this amicably, and everybody will be good and fine, and God will help us all in the name of Jesus. On this note,
we say
we bring it a wrap.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you. This is nothing but the truth. My name is Nakali Nakali, and it was so nice to have this conversation today with the phenomenal.
And I'm PJ. Make sure that you subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe, share. And if you're watching on Ambience TV, keep watching. I want to even hear from you, right? If you're watching on the free-to-air decoder, you can just send us a message with on this number that's been displayed on the screen. You can send a message. We'd like to hear from you, to know where you're watching us from, and to also get your views on this topic. And stay tuned. We'll be bringing more amazing and live shows. Yes, I mean so much amazing content your way. We have trends coming up. We have more Nothing But the Truth episodes. We have our Gen
Zs. I mean, you don't want to miss that show, right? Where they spill the tea on a steady, and it's so amazing. We also have the Unboxed Game Show. We have new shows coming up that you need to be at the edge of your seat for.
Pipeline.
Just stay tuned. You get all the updates till we come your way again next time. We love you. Don't touch that dial.
Bye.